gentlemen.
Hello.
This is me, Sarah Rice, over here.
This is Susan for episode 633. Welcome to Brain Candy Podcast.
Welcome. I already told you about my embarrassing moment where I called myself Sarah Patterson on the phone. Yeah. I'm still not over it.
Yeah, that was wild.
And I went to the DMV just the other day because I had to get Colorado license plates. Originally, I was going to sell my car, but that has just taken frickin' forever because
that's a whole thing. Okay,
dragging my feet about it. Mm-hmm. And I'm not paying for my car right now, so like the idea of getting car payments right now sounds crazy until I need the 4-wheel drive again. But I went to the DMV to get Colorado license plates. By the way, Colorado DMV, in and out in 10 minutes. Mm-hmm. It's the best.
It is the best.
I love a DMV outside of California.
Absolutely. There's nothing worse in all of the state of California.
Like what's happened?
It's horrific.
I told them at the appointment, I said, I walked in. I didn't even have time to pick up my phone and play like Best Fiends or anything. I just was called right to the window. And I said, let me just tell you. Yeah. I love coming to the DMV here. You guys are a well-oiled machine. This is what I'm talking about. She had me in and out. I was missing a few things that I needed to get, like an emissions test, because you need that here. But it might be, I think it's the last thing that I had to show all my name change and all that for, because his name was on the title and I had to show the divorce document that said that the car was mine, all this stuff and blah, 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 blah. So I think I may have done the last thing. Well, with the exception of my license, my therapy license, I believe that might still be Sarah Patterson too.
Are you serious? You have to
It's so many things you don't even think about. And then
they don't have to do.
Right. And the passport. Because I got divorced. I announced that I wanted a divorce the same week that my passport showed up with my my married name. And then because I dragged my feet to do that too. And now I'm like, now I need a new one.
That was a tragedy.
In Europe, I'm Sarah. In other countries, I'm Sarah Patterson still. But the United States.
Oh, that's awful.
All the way Sarah Rice. But anyways, that's neither here nor there. I was just complaining about, how do we even get talking about DMV stuff? I don't even know. Last name?
You were just talking about the Patterson thing.
Yeah, talking about old updates. I do, before we dive into the things that I have to talk about, have a lot of crow to eat, I guess. Is that how they say it? Like a lot of like things that the things I got wrong episode will be very lengthy.
What? What did you do wrong?
One, I had no idea. Somebody tagged me in this post about how Australia is cutting down or like cracking down on people who are doing what I do, which is break the stem off of the broccoli heads at the grocery store. Yeah. I put up a post, like a poll, on Instagram, thinking that everybody was going to be with me. Yeah. Turns out nobody was with me.
I think there's a reason, though, that can be remedied. I really do, because the reason why I thought this was crazy was because when I worked in a produce store, we sold broccoli by the bunch. And so breaking off the stems wouldn't make a damn bit of difference. You're charged for the bunch.
It's the same price. Right.
And I think that there are certain places where they do charge by the weight, and then I support that because... Okay. Yeah.
So you would have been on my side.
Yeah, because
a lot of people weren't, and they also told me that I'm missing out on 1,000 things to do with the broccoli stem.
I mean, okay, but what? Soup? I mean, who's making broccoli soup that much?
I don't. But they said chop it up and grill it up, and you.
They act like it's delicious. It's garbage. You guys know it.
It tastes. It feels like cauliflower stem to me.
They're gonna be so mad at both of us now. Right. I mean, it is edible.
I couldn't believe what, when you post a poll and you're like, well,
I got this. It's in the bag.
This is maybe 60-40. No, we're talking 78.
But maybe it's because of what I'm saying. We're in their place of work or wherever they shop.
No, they said, you're crazy. We use it or whatevs.
Wow.
I got a lot of feedback.
Do you think that they eat it out of obligation or because they think it's delicious?
Obligation.
Yeah.
Come on.
They just don't want to waste
Nobody's
it.
eating that and is like, broccoli. Broccoli stems.
If they were, then they would sell the crowns and they would sell the stems.
Right.
Separate.
My friend said that she dices them up. She likes to blanch them for salads or saute them for pasta.
She likes to because she doesn't want to waste, but does she like to because they're delicious?
No. But does anybody, like, listen, there's not a lot I'm eating, like, that is, like, where I'm like, oh, this is healthy and like,
and delicious.
I'm not right.
Yeah, all right.
I'm not eating a salad because I'm like, I mean, yes, it is delicious sometimes when I put.
It's delicious because we put dressing on it,
right? But like just plain leaves, like
let's all admit it. It's not yummy.
It's not good. This is. I will say this. I dated this guy whose mom once said, "All food tastes bad, and you have to season it." She's like. Nobody knows how to season their food. And she's like, yeah, most food, she said, most food sold in America, like foods, vegetable, fruit, it all tastes bad.
Okay.
I wouldn't say fruits taste, but some of them are not that great though. But she's like, all the other stuff tastes bad. You got to like add stuff to it. All food tastes bad.
Yeah, I think she's
And I was like, maybe she's onto something. Mm-hmm. It's just all the stuff we add on it. You know, a lot of things are just delivery systems for whatever the dip is.
Like, basically, if something requires a dressing, it is because it is not delicious on its own, period.
This is correct. This is correct. I saw a really funny sketch that these two female comedians did that was of Brussels sprouts talking to cauliflower. And Brussels sprouts is like, yeah, I mean, I must like been really popular for that. And cauliflower's like, yeah, like you were really cool and you were like really popular. Why? Yeah, I'm like, it was hilarious because anybody who's gone to like fancy restaurants has seen this shift.
Yes.
From Brussels sprouts to cauliflower. Why has everybody got fucking hard on for cauliflower? Yeah, we get it. Buffalo cauliflower kind of looks like buffalo chicken. Kind of doesn't taste the same, though. Can we just all agree that?
My friend Abby tweeted, I just think we're asking too much of cauliflower.
So much?
We're making it be
crust?
pizza.
Come on, cauliflower isn't pizza.
Come on, it's too much.
Don't piss on my leg and tell me it's raining.
Right. It's an alternative, but it is not as good. Anyone that's like, oh, it tastes the same. No, it doesn't.
No, it doesn't. That's the same people who are trying to sell me on that, like any of your healthy ice creams. Ain't no such thing.
Really?
You know when they're like those ones that are like, these are like negative calories if you eat it in the, you know, and there's like nothing in it. And I'm like, yeah. And it doesn't scratch the itch. And guess what I want to do? Eat more. Mm-hmm. So we should just have the thing that we really want. Because that's what we really want. And
or cares? Just admit that
it's hard enough. Have a fucking cookie.
Yeah, and all I'm asking is that they just admit it. Like, no, it's nowhere near as good, but it's like, you know. Right. And then I can get on board because then we're not lying to each other. Yeah, we're not. We're like, no. We're admitting I'm fully addicted to sugar. Now, like sometimes I go through waves where I'm like, I haven't had it in a while. Right now, you're in the mode. What are you eating over there? Like, what's the sugar? Oh, I've been baking. Oh my God, you're producing it yourself. I know. I made key lime pies a little bit ago, and then I made it when my brothers came over. They ate about a quarter of it. I ate the other 75% of it. You know why? I know why. Because Sarah got brand new bakeware from Caraway. I, first of all, can't tell you how much I needed this. Yeah, I'm sure. And I had an ex who stole my Dutch oven. So that's hilarious. I needed a new one. Well, and if you have an ex who stole yours, yeah, I cannot recommend Caraway enough. And I was unsure because I'm very picky about my bakeware. Yeah, me too. I'm like I don't want any trouble. I don't want any sticking or weirdness. And I don't want any chemicals and weird shit. This is why it's insane. I know. It's great. The bakeware from Caraway, it behaves like that toxic stuff that gives you cancer that makes it nonstick. but it has none of those chemicals.
None of those things.
I don't understand how they do it, but I made blueberry muffins, and you know how like sometimes you drip.
You got the muffin tin.
I got the muffin tin. I got other ones too, but that's the one I've tried so far. And I thought those drips are going to burn, and then I'm going to have trouble getting them off. It wiped off. There was, you can even tell it was dripped on.
I made slow cooker chili in my crock pot. Mm-hmm.
Oh my God.
Love it.
See, this is great. Non-toxic baking essentials. Every modern kitchen
Beautiful,
needs.
too.
Really beautiful. You can pick the color. I went with gray.
That was the hardest part. I was like, what color? I got white. What'd you get?
I got gray in the end, but I debated. I started with white.
Yeah, I like the white.
It's all really great. It's all beautiful. They have a fry pan, a saute
the navy
pan.
Is so nice, too.
Dutch oven. It's really great.
Sets on sale.
Sets on sale. Sets on sale.
Yeah.
But for me, the non-toxic thing was the real kicker because I do not know how they make it non-stick like that. It's great. Visit carawayhome.com/braincandy to take advantage of this limited time offer for 10% off your next purchase. This deal is exclusive for our listeners, so visit carawayhome.com/braincandy or use code braincandy at checkout. Caraway, non-toxic cookware made modern. Yeah, it's not just bakeware. I mean, they have cookware too. I've been trying the bakeware, so it's great.
Yeah. And I've been trying to cookware.
Yeah, anyway.
Yes.
So do that.
Would you like to learn something?
Yeah, what do you got?
This was a really cool fact that I learned on Instagram and then had to look it up. My friend Robin Shaw, you know, the comedian.
Yeah.
She got real popular during COVID and now is like she's an amazing human and just all around wonderful person. Mm-hmm. And she was talking about some fun facts. And she told me all about, or told everybody on Instagram to say it like me, like she was like personally talking to me.
Sarah,
like I'm her best friend. About the scoring in tennis.
Oh, I don't know how that works.
It goes 15, 30, 40, love. Or love is 0. You know,
none
15,
of that makes
30, 40.
sense.
Okay, it does when you understand how the scoring started.
Okay.
So back in the days, I guess it was like the Middle Ages, I mean, that's what it said in the article I read. The score for tennis was kept on the face of a clock. So they would use 2 clocks. And they needed the numbers, wanted it to be easily divided, so they did it in 15-minute segments. So it would go 15 and then 30. And then when it gets to 40, or 45, that's kind of where it gets a little confusing. So if it follows the clock, it's supposed to be 45, but you need to win by 2 points. So they said it would be too difficult to split 15 in half and do like 7.5 and 7.5. So they just made it 40, so they can go 50-60 for the extra 2 points.
So what you're saying means nothing to me because I don't know why. Like,
what do you mean?
Let's say I serve it and then they miss it, you know? Then I get the point or whatever. Do I get 1 point?
No, you get 15.
15 then for just one thing.
Yeah. Like that's how it goes. The scoring is 15, 30, 40, and then you have to like win by 2 points, and then that's game.
So then it's 10 points, 10 points.
So yeah, but not really 10 points. It's 1 point, but that's how they do the adding.
That is so stupid.
They based it on a clock because they didn't have like something to. Yeah, it was like in medieval France that this all originated.
Yeah, I see what you're saying. You're like, it's a long time ago.
Yeah, they didn't have like a scoreboard that they could. So they used something that was already around, and so they used so like you only need 4 points to win a game.
That seems real fast. Why does it take so long?
No, because they play multiple games. So like they're like, you know, like how they say game, set, match, like game. So like you win the game, then the set, then the match.
I didn't know that. I get it now.
Actually only think that's so absurd. But yes, that is that. I believe that is it. But you have to win like multiple games and then you win. It's like best of 3.
What? Okay.
So, but each one, kind of like volleyball, you have to like win 20, you have to get 21 points. You're like trying to get like a number, so you have to win 4 points. And so instead of dividing, like the way that they divided that, and you have to like win by 2. So they divided it into 15-minute quarters but like 15-minute
so then
segments to just kind of mark the score.
I'm pretty
Here
sure
I was thinking this would be like just a quick like, oh, breezy, da-da-da. And so he's like, whoa. We need to know. Blah, blah, blah.
But when I've just passed through and seen it on screen, I'm never, ever going to watch it. But like when I've just seen scores, like when I'm in a bar and I look up and it says like 2-0, 2 love or whatever.
That's the game. That's the number of games they've won.
What?
So it's like 2 games to 0 games or 2 to 1. And then the other one will be 15, 30, 40.
You have got to be kidding me.
Game.
I can't believe they convinced anyone to do this.
Right. Isn't it weird?
Yes. And then your love means 0? Why?
It was, love is 0. That is an interest. Oh, I do know this. This is interesting. This is fun. So the French word 0 looks like an egg, and the French word for egg is leouf, which in English became love.
Guys, we should stop with all this. There is an easier way. It's called counting.
Yeah. Well, if the game is tied at 40, you need 2 points to win, hence the word deuce. So, like...
What do you mean the word deuce? When do you say
that's
that?
That's what they use. It's like a tennis term. Like, deuce in tennis. Like, you have to win by 2.
People were like, okay, this sounds good. Great idea, everybody.
I think it had more to do with not having something to keep the score on and needing... something where 2 people could have, they could move the hands of a clock. So they just used a clock, like a regular clock. 1 clock on one side, 1 clock on the other side. And then to keep the score, they moved the hand of the clock to be like, this is where his score is, this is where his score is, this is where... I say his because it's probably who was playing. Let's be real.
I'm sure back then it was.
And then they were like, they moved it 10 and 10 for the last 2 points. So that if you were tied and you had to win by 2, you need 4 points to win, but 4 points is divided by this. This ended up being far more confusing than it was helpful.
And then they're like, "Yeah, sure, we came up with this in the Middle Ages, but let's not amend anything. Let's just stick with this terrible system."
So how do you think it should be? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. You win.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, I do. Yes, I do. I do.
It's like basic counting. The other one I don't understand is golf. I know people are going to be like, Sarah, it's very obvious. But there's a lot of math in golf.
Is there a lot of math?
I feel like you got to know the par. You got to add that with that, and then you got to subtract that. The number. I still don't know if you want a high number or a low number. It's like defies all logic with that. What do you want to win? Low number or high? Low, right?
Low,
you want to be under par? Low. Under par, that's stupid.
No, that is stupid.
It seems like you should. What?
Oh, wait.
Thing? Or they're like, try to score no points. That's how you win.
So you want a low number in terms of how many hits it takes.
Right. I get this.
But then maybe you want a high number in terms of that's how many below. Well, it's a low number. It's a negative number.
It's right.
Yes.
See, again, negative numbers. I don't even.
This is why we cannot let men be in charge of everything. Why did we do this? They're so stupid.
I don't know if we did it as much as they did it. We put up a little bit of a fight here and there. Not good enough though.
Right, and they wouldn't let women play. I know that's a myth or a false narrative.
Yeah,
about
that whole golf acronym.
But it meant it really. I mean, even though it's true.
Yeah, what was it? Guys
gentlemen
only,
ladies forbidden.
Forbidden.
Yeah.
That's not true though, right?
That's what they say. It probably is true. They're like, what? That's not true. Just kidding.
And then they pretend it's not true.
Yeah.
Like what? So that's interesting.
I'll tell you what else is interesting.
Or at least was for me. I was like, what? This is totally going on the podcast. She did a way better job of explaining it. So maybe I'll have Robin come back and be like, Sarah, this is how you do it.
I'll tell you what else is interesting.
What?
It is how great Thrive makeup is.
Oh, I hit that moment that happens about once every 6 months.
Yeah.
where you run out of everything.
Right.
Do you know what I mean?
Yes, the collective emptiness.
And I'm like, good Lord, I got to get all this stuff. I bought and returned 3 different things at my local beauty supply place.
Big mistake.
Huge.
Yeah.
Made my skin break out. No bueno.
No.
I'll never use it. Well, the one thing I didn't need to buy was mascara because I will never use another mascara.
Never.
I tried one day to use another one. Also, big mistake. Just stick with the good stuff.
Yeah.
I was like, here we go.
Liquid Lash Extensions Mascara. It lives up to its name. I love washing it off because it comes off so thoroughly, which usually that's a big production for me. No clumping or smudge. It's, to me, the best mascara you could buy.
It is the best. I have tried so many expensive ones.
But they have wonderful products, lots of different things. Brilliant Eye Brightener is really nice. Yes. And I'm wearing their liquid lip balm. It's like a balm lip treatment. It's great. It's a leave-on lip serum. Anyway, they have a deal. Nice. Yep. You can get 15% off your first order when you visit thrivecosmetics.com/braincandy. That's Thrive Cosmetics, CAUSEMETICS.com/braincandy for 15% off your first order. It's a great time to try Thrive Cosmetics for yourself. We don't lie about this stuff. It's serious business.
That is so good.
Try it. You'll love it.
I needed some new foundation, some new blush, a little new,
You are running low.
Re-up. And I got older skin now. You gotta
it's so disgusting. It's so disgusting. The older I get, the heavier my makeup bag gets. That's what I always say.
Oh my gosh, that's true. I made the jump from sheer to light coverage. Light to medium.
That is I long for the days of light coverage.
Yeah, I'm light to medium now, Suze.
Oh my God. You know what? No. It's the slow march to death. But it happens, and thank God there's some tools in our toolbox here.
Yeah. Speaking of a march to death.
Yes.
Did you know that you can technically bury somebody in your backyard? But only legally? In a few states. Yes.
No, I didn't.
So I read a whole article on what happens or what the rules are and the regulations are about burying somebody in your backyard. Apparently this is it's something that comes up more I want to say more often than you think, but only in weird places. And
what do you mean by weird?
So, I don't know, states that are weird, I feel like.
Totally.
Tennessee is do whatever here. And California's no. So there has been this growing popularity or this rising popularity of these natural burials, these green burials.
Yes.
So it's kind of sparked people to then ask, can I bury my loved one on my own property?
Yeah.
Could I do this at home? And what happens is technically you can, but there are laws about touching dead bodies. It's more of the laws around
really handling the corpse.
Yes. So so California law says that anybody who let me see what it looks. Deposits or disposes of any human remains in any place except a cemetery is guilty of a misdemeanor. However, what you can do is you can get your house rezoned to then be considered a cemetery. But it is so difficult to do. In fact, you know who tried to do this? You were reminding me of this last episode. They tried to do this with Michael Jackson's body at Neverland Ranch. They wanted to bury him at Neverland Ranch, but looked into what it would take. You'd have to get Neverland Ranch sanctioned or whatever they call it, turned into what the word?
You said rezoned.
Rezoned, thank you. Rezoned to be a cemetery. And it was so difficult, time-consuming, and costly that Michael Jackson's estate was like, nah, we're just going to do it at the one everybody else goes to. What's the big one in LA?
Yeah, it's like Forever. Something Forever.
Yeah, that one.
Hollywood
That's
Forever.
like fucking everybody's buried there.
Yeah.
Yeah. So they just put them there because they're like, this is too much work.
Fair enough.
And then there's a bunch of laws, like, so every state is different. So New Hampshire, you can totally turn your backyard into a cemetery. It just has to be 100 feet away from any buildings, or I think it's 50 feet away from a known water source.
Yeah.
And
that I get.
Yeah.
But like when you say it's more restrictive in regards to the handling of the corpse, I suspect, because I was talking about the tattoo preservation thing, it was saying like there's some debate about whether it's even legal, because you could argue that it's disrespecting a corpse, which is like the language they use about what you can and can't do. So is that what you're saying, that they're restrictive about, you can't just like pick it up and just like whip it into the hole?
Yes, because there are even laws in certain states, I can't remember what state it is, but in order, like, there has to be a funeral director present.
Oh, that's silly.
Right. Sometimes it kind of felt the same as when I went to the DMV and they're like, you need a VIN verification and a emissions test. Oh, by the way, here, go to this location. It'll cost you $50. And it was like in and out in 2 minutes. And they're like, yep, you passed. Yep, give us your money. And I was like, this feels like everybody's just has to go through it. And you're like,
just charge me a $50 fee and
just
call it
charge
a day.
me a $50 fee. Right. This is the same. Like, in a way, they're giving people jobs. Like, they're all the technicians there who are working. And I was thinking of that. I'm like, wow, this is like really like offering jobs to people. This is like important. I had this whole thought process as I was doing this. So, yeah, there's like a whole bunch of stuff that you have to basically like paperwork that you have to fill out if you're handling a dead body. And if you want something to then be, every state is different, be turned into a cemetery. Some laws that don't, or some states that don't have laws about, that specifically say, like, you can't bury a body in your backyard, like California, that say they go based on this Roman law that says anywhere you bury a body becomes a cemetery. So there are other states where all you have to do is put a body in the ground in your backyard, and technically and by law, your backyard then becomes a grave site.
Yeah, all right. That to me makes more sense.
Mm-hmm. I just thought that was interesting.
The whole funeral industry is a complete scam.
Oh, because it's different everywhere. And California, they're like, oh, you have to bury your body here. Meanwhile, in Tennessee, you can go visit Elvis's grave because you can bury a body wherever, and he's buried at Graceland.
And that's nice.
That is nice. You should be able to just throw them in the ground wherever, I feel like.
Yeah, like as long as there are regulations about maybe, because I think there is a symbolic importance to the treatment of our dead.
Oh, absolutely.
Like, part of me is sort of like, who cares? This is silly. But I do think it does help societally to have standards about how we treat dead people. Yes.
We do have a federal law that says once you're in the ground, you have to stay there.
That's a good law.
Yeah, that's a safe.
Just as an aside, and I don't want to get political because I know what can happen.
Yeah.
But I do find it interesting that if I were to die, that you cannot take my organs without my consent, because my dead body has more rights than if I were alive and became pregnant in certain states right now.
Oh my God. Hey, how about that woman who got pulled over in the carpool lane?
Yeah.
I love her.
I think that's right.
I think she's right too.
Same with
she's
child
like, fuck
support.
You. This is a bit. I'm 39 weeks pregnant. She was 39 weeks pregnant. She's like, this is a person.
Yeah, and
I'm getting in the carpool lane. This is double occupancy.
Why don't they have to pay child support before birth? Also.
Oh yeah, we got some questions.
We have some things we need to work out. We need to work out the kinks, everybody.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's all I'll say about rights and things because I don't want to offend. I just want to acknowledge things that are true. You know,
I
that
offend all of them.
My dead body has more rights than I do.
Yes, it does. Yeah. So, like, once you put him in the ground, you have to keep him there. Or the other things I wanted to highlight. Yep, you can visit Elvis's gravesite. In states, including New York, Michigan, and Louisiana, they allow you to bury a body on your property, like I said, as long as there's a funeral director present. It may seem like an imposition, but it's a blessing in disguise because they handle all the paperwork, apparently. They feel like
it's not about being an imposition. It's about being stupid. And it just...
And then what happens when you, like, people are moving too quickly? You know? You move 5 years later and then somebody's like, I'd love to put a pool in here. Next thing you know, you're have a fucking poltergeist situation.
Well, that's why maybe instead of all these rules, we could just, you apply for a permit, you say what your plan is, and then they could approve it. And then that way the state would know there is a body there in case somebody does buy it and wants to put in a pool.
Yeah.
But you're right. I wouldn't want to buy a property where there's some dead body on it.
So basically, you know, you might as well go to the mortician.
Yeah, I guess what made me change my mind is knowing that properties, as much as we may think we're going to live there forever, that we will die eventually, and then someone's going to live there, and then they're going to find bones and stuff.
Yeah. Weird that I'm, like, okay with skinning somebody and putting it in a frame and hanging it on the wall. But I'm like, I don't want to find your years-old corpse in my backyard.
Yeah, that's a bridge too far.
Right.
Yeah.
Or maybe I do. My mom worked on the movie, or worked with the little person. She was a little lady, but the little person on that movie, Poltergeist.
I didn't know there was a little person.
Yeah, there's a woman who plays a psychic, and she's a little person. And my mom worked with her, and the woman said there was a bunch of creepy stuff that happened on the filming of that movie. Oh, it gives me goosebumps.
Yes, I've seen that on E! I think there was a special.
It was very creepy. And she told my mom a whole bunch of stuff. I mean, hello, the woman who played the psychic and my mom's the wardrobe stylist. Like, this was before she became a psychic. And
when do you think that she knew that she had a gift?
Oh, forever.
Oh, okay. But she just didn't.
Yeah. And she was always doing it for free for people. And then she was doing it, like, giving readings for people so much on set that somebody was like, you should do this professionally. And so she started charging. And then when she retired in the industry, like, they started striking and, like, industry went, like, all funky. And, you know.
I really think that could be your backup gig.
Psychic?
Yeah. Well, because, you know, whenever we joke about
skills anyway.
We joke about how you do fan fiction.
Yes.
But really what that is the same
readings.
Thing. Yeah.
It's plugging in and getting a download from like that. My whole thing about, I guarantee you that, guarantee based on no information, no scientific evidence, that when I was giving you that whole download about the guy, that was like somebody who went to, what the hell is that place called?
Medieval Times.
Like last night. And I was just like tuning in to,
I'm seeing...
you know, I had like a whole name. I was like, fuck you, Cheryl. You and your new husband. Yeah. Miguel's great. Fuck you.
Truly, I think that that's your gift. And we've just...
Because the new husband's always like hot and Latino and like way better than the old husband.
Latino.
For sure. Like, treats her right. Like, you know.
I was with this guy that's Cuban the other day.
Sexy lover. Passionate. Your ex-husband is like, you know, had his hands out his pants the whole time and just drinking beer on the couch. I see it. Anyways, what were you saying?
I was with this guy that's Cuban the other day, and he was talking about how... I go, okay, so you're Latino. I go, that's what they call it, right? But really my question was like, some countries that some people might think are Latino are not considered Latino, like Brazil, for example.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Right? So I just wanted to make sure. It was sort of like the T-Rex thing where I'm like, am I getting
no,
what am I
make sure?
saying?
Cuban, still Latino, right?
And he thought I was asking, do we still say Latino or do we say Latinx or whatever? Yeah. And he was like, yeah, we don't really like that Latinx. He's like, I don't know a lot of
I hear that.
people that are into that.
I hear a lot of people who have said that.
Yeah, so I was like, I'm not doing it anymore then because that is stupid if they're not even into it.
No, they're not really into it.
So it's just like white people
like, let's call them this. And we were like, whoa. Let's go back to Latino.
Well, because he's like,
the whole root of their
gendered.
language is gendered. Like we can't just be like calling it, La Mesa, La Mesex.
Like, I get why.
Their language is gendered.
I can see why people would, because they're trying to acknowledge non-binary
I totally
people.
get it. Totally get it.
But it's more complicated than just, let's just change a letter and it's all solved.
Right.
So,
yeah, let's change maybe some regulations and some things like that, the important stuff.
Anyway, the point is Sarah is psychic about medieval times.
Yeah.
That's what I'm getting at here.
That's what we're getting at. Okay, so we talked about some grave studs.
Can I talk about hair? What? I forgot to talk about hair.
Yes, always. It's one of my favorite topics.
Function of beauty is where it's at, people.
Where it's at, people. I am so glad that I had the purple shampoo I ordered a while back, and I use it kind of sparingly, so I still had it from like when my hair was blonde before.
Yes.
And I've recently thrown some highlights in there because your girl's going back to blonde, and I love it. I mean, it is the perfect toning shampoo.
I love it too, and as we all know, I'm on a hair journey, as the influencers say.
You are.
And trying to get my hair healthy and back to good. And Function of Beauty is the key for me because I get to put in on the quiz what I need for my hair. And in this case, it's strength and health.
And it changes.
It changes. They give you a recipe based on the request, and then that is designed just for you. It's customized.
Mm-hmm. I do too. I call it function of strength and function of moisture. And so I do one that's a moisturizing one and one that's a strengthening, more protein-based one. And then I alternate between those. And then it says right on the bottle what I need. And it feels like, my custom blend.
So like if you're a curly girl like Sarah, or if you've been through the ringer with bleach like me, they have what you need. Formulation just for you. And you can choose color, fragrance, or none of that. Like
Correct.
No dye, fragrance-free, whatever. Say goodbye to generic hair care for good today. Go to functionofbeauty.com/braincandy to take your hair goals quiz, and you'll save 25% on your first order. Go to functionofbeauty.com/braincandy to let them know you heard about it from our show and to get 25% off your first order. That's functionofbeauty.com/braincandy. Take your hair quiz and save 25% on your first order. And I read an article in The Atlantic about the pandemic, and it said the year our hair fell out because a lot of people have lost their hair.
Susie, I felt the same. Like, I even talked to my stylist about it when I went the other day. I was like, okay, I think my hair may be breaking all off. I don't know. And also, whenever I get when I'm like anxious about something or stressed out about something, I am an externalizer. So I look for what around me is. I'm never like, oh, there must be something in my internal world that I need to fix.
Yeah.
Or like a relationship that I need to address or something that I'm like, the house must be burning down. So like I project it onto, so I think my hair is falling out or my hair is breaking. And I think like I left a candle on and the house is going to burn down. Like when really it's, maybe you should talk about your feelings with this person about the X, Y, and Z. And like, that's why you're anxious. Da-da-da.
Yeah.
So I do that a lot. So I went to the hairdresser and I'm like freaking out. Like I told her, I'm like, I don't know if we should do the color because I use this treatment and like maybe that made my hair break off. And she's like you're honestly, fine. Yeah. She was like, this is in your head. And I said, also you should know that when I'm stressed and get anxious, I may or may not take it out on me, on my hair and like the anxious. And she said what everybody says to me. Even if you did lose about 20% of your hair, you still have a shit ton of hair. You're fine. You have some hair to lose. I'm like, oh, why does everybody say that? And which is good, but that doesn't help me when I'm feeling like my hair's falling out. And she was like, you're fine. So luckily, we're all good.
But it is true, though, that like because of the stress of the pandemic, a lot of people started because you do manifest it physically if you have a problem internally a lot of the time. You're not wrong.
I know.
So, anyway,
and I noticed a difference in the strength of it. Like I wasn't getting the protein and like the, and like I just didn't, because I just want to eat cookies and key lime pie.
I know, right? We're all dealing with a lot.
So much.
But at least there's resources.
There are. I do. It is hard to find a therapist. I've heard that from so many people lately.
Yes.
So I want to just say, like, public service announcement. If you try a therapist and you are like, I'm not getting what I need from this person, try another therapist.
Yeah, one named Sarah,
People are just people. Like, therapists are just people. And
yeah,
some
you got to find a good fit.
And some you're going to not. And if you don't vibe with them, it doesn't mean therapy isn't for you. It just means you don't have the right one. It is tough out there to find. I had trouble finding
Adam was on a wait list for a year. He just got
my God. I hear this and it makes me so sad.
I'm happy for him, but yeah, that speaks to your point. But Sarah, why don't you guys email Sarah? You guys should have her be your therapist.
I would like that, but I am fully booked.
Oh, never mind.
I am at full capacity.
Maybe someday.
Yeah, it might. I will definitely put the announcement up as soon as I.
Okay.
And then I think in the future, I'm only going to be taking children and couples.
Okay.
So if you are a child, somebody who has a teen or a kid who is into telehealth and who lives in the state of California, or you're in a couple relationship and you are interested in therapy, then I can definitely help you out. And if you're a regular person and in the state of California, I could still help you out because I have great referrals.
Great.
I know really, really good therapists.
Okay.
So I have got referrals that I can send people. I feel so bad. I'm hearing this from friends.
Too.
I'm hearing this from people who are like, hey, do you know anybody? Because I keep trying. I mean, my brother felt the same way, and my mom was like, "Can't you just see it?" I'm like, "No, Mom, I cannot see my brother.
That would be funny.
That would be a definite conflict of interest." So, or like, yes.
Sure, you do a good job, but yeah, that's not what you want.
Yeah, I would be. I mean, he gets it for free because it's just called older sister advice.
Right.
So, like, I don't want to have to charge him and then write a fucking note about it.
Oh my God. Yeah, it's a jungle out there, man.
It is a jungle out there. But I do have, we still have time. Yes, thank goodness. I have so much more to talk to you about.
Okay.
This is a fun little, I know how you guys like fun, not fun for the people who have them, but interesting neurological disorders.
Yes.
We talked about the pun one.
Yes.
And then, so I love a good neurological disorder. This one is probably one of the most peculiar ones I've heard of, but it's super legit. So, and it's interesting because it like comes in and out of fashion, like popularity, people studying this. There is a form of hallucinations called micropic or diminutive hallucinations, but more commonly Lilliputian hallucinations, based on the island from Gulliver's Travels called, I think it was called Lilliputian or Lillian or something like that. It was like the island in Gulliver's Travels with little people. This form of visual hallucination makes you hallucinate teeny tiny little people.
No.
And not just a few of them, a shit ton of them. Like Gulliver's Travels
truly
style.
Like Gulliver.
There's little people everywhere.
What the fuck?
Mm-hmm. They're hallucinations of tiny humans, animals, or fantasy figures perceived during wakefulness in the absence of corresponding stimuli from the outside world. They're classified as visual hallucinations perceived simultaneously in multiple sensory modalities, compound hallucinations. So they really feel like they exist. And this was first introduced in 1909 by this French psychiatrist named Raoul Leroy, and he had the condition himself. So he was a psychiatrist and I love when psychiatrists experience the condition themselves because they talk about it in that language. So he wrote about what he saw, and he saw what he called tiny folk not 6 inches high and swarms of them.
That is terrifying.
That would be awful. They were often reported operating in great numbers, apparently inhabiting the patient's external world, marching under real doors, climbing on real chairs and tables, while generally respecting the laws of gravity in three-dimensional space. So that's another thing that often, which I didn't know, often sometimes hallucinations that people have won't also what do they say? Cooperate with, or like they won't respect the laws of gravity, or the laws of our physical world. They'll be like physics. They'll be like floating around. So but these are like little creatures, little people. They're like jumping off your desk and jumping off your chair and climbing up this thing. There are the person who was researching this. I read so I guess there was like a recent study that somebody did that was a oh God, what do you call them when there are studies of other studies? My research methods teacher would be meta-analysis. Thank you. So he's like, I'll help you get there. Okay. And that he was looking through past studies and mentions of this and found 219 cases of this in different literature and writing since the early 1900s, not early 1900s, 1909. I guess that is 1900s. Yes.
No.
So 18th century, 20th century. I
But
always do mix that up. Where the 1900s to the 20th century. That's some bullshit. Make that the 2000s, 21st century. No. I mean, I get it, but come on.
Yeah, it's a lot to ask.
It is. So
wait, but
isn't that fucking weird?
Yes, and I would imagine very scary and like unsettling.
Yes.
And it is some sort of like wires being crossed. Mm-hmm. What are they?
It is induced by, or it is linked. There's a link to alcoholism.
No.
Yes, and so what they said is because of the ways that these hallucinations interact with the real world and with the physical world, and they're very real and people have an awareness of them there. It's not like schizophrenia or where people, but they're kind of also caught up in that world.
Fake.
Yeah.
Oh.
These people know that they're fake, but it exists. They're saying that the damage or whatever is happening in the brain where this is taking place or causing this is in a very evolved part of our brain. It's happening in a part of the brain that is a very high functioning part of the brain for this to be able to happen. That there's something about how realistic this is, where they can kind of narrow it down to this certain region of the brain that's really it's like our last area to evolve. And they saw there were some common threads between people who had experienced problems with vision and who had also experienced things like there was a man who had mustard gas exposure during World War I, and he saw these figures. So it's something about the, maybe this very highly evolved part of our brain that just kind of gets thrown off by either toxin exposure. Like alcohol is a poison, mustard gas is a poison. So it's toxic exposure.
Did you say that there's any...
One person saw miniature hippopotamuses.
That'd be worse. That would be worse.
They saw miniature... What did it say? They saw miniature... Where did that go? Cats, tigers, and hippopotamuses.
My God. Did you say that the visions, the hallucinations are typically aggressive, or they're they come in peace? Or it varies? Do we know?
It varies.
Oh, maybe it depends on your state of mind. See, because
I think so. Like, one patient recognized a tiny horse-drawn carriage with an equally tiny mother.
That's so stupid.
So it was like little tiny baby version of him.
I see what you're saying though about toxin exposure, but before you said that, I thought my theory has always been that people that have addiction, especially alcohol for some reason, are like real smart. I know that sounds stupid, but I always felt like it sometimes when you know a lot,
that.
it can be very painful.
Right.
And so I
Little
thought
man Tate syndrome.
that was the connection. But I see what you're saying. If the mustard gas can trigger it.
It's like a poison.
What is the treatment plan for these poor folks?
None. Absolutely none.
You got to make peace with it.
Yep.
And is it 100% of the time or just happens sometimes when they're just living there?
Mean?
Like, do they see the people all the time?
I think, let me see. Wow. 97% were described as performing numerous activities such as jumping, dancing, maneuvering, climbing, marching along in files or squads, or performing acrobatics.
Squads. That's great. It's like a little circus.
So funny. Yeah, I don't think I think they're always there. No, that's presence or absence of movement was mentioned in 85% of cases. Only 3% of cases were described as motionless. So some people saw them as motionless, which would be even stranger.
Worse. Yeah.
Because they would think that, am I moving? Are we still this like everybody did the mannequin challenge without me.
Do the people that have this...
She's not on TikTok. She doesn't know what that is.
No. Do the people that have it feel upset about it?
Some of them did.
Yeah.
Because it wasn't there, and then it was there because it's brought on by something. That's why they're aware. They have the awareness of it. Wasn't something that like they find comfort in because it's like the voices that are talking to them, like schizophrenic, something like that.
By the way,
this was interesting. Go ahead.
That thing that you said that I didn't acknowledge, and
what?
The thing that you said about TikTok or whatever that I didn't acknowledge, I just ignored it.
Did.
I hate when I listen back and that I hear that happening. I hate it where I don't like process what you say because there's a lot of gems I miss.
I just am like, you're not on TikTok, so you can't get that.
It's like my brain's like just disregards it.
Right, as it should. Weird. Like, no, I do the same thing where I'm like, what the, Sarah? She just said something so funny, and like it goes over my head too.
We have a lot going on. That's all.
This was interesting that 59% of the cases that this researcher looked at, the presence or absence of color was mentioned. So 78% of the creatures were described as colorful, whereas whatever the remaining 22% were described as either colorless or black or white or drab or gray.
That's strange.
So there's like 22% that have like black and white little characters.
Well, I guess that makes sense because you said that it's connected to some sort of visual wiring. So like maybe depending on which wire.
Right. And if your eyes like
it's bonkers.
Isn't that a weird one to have?
I hate it. The
like
human
little
brain.
tiny people, which then makes you think, did the person who wrote Gulliver's Travels have this condition?
Right.
Or know somebody who did. Like, this is a real thing. There are over 200 plus cases reported, documented. Like, this is not.
Wonder how
this
many
is
there are right
way
now,
more
though.
prevalent than the pun disorder.
Oh, really?
That was, there were only 5 people or something in that study that they had found.
I think they're faking it.
The pun disorder?
Mm-hmm. The punners.
Yeah, probably. They're just bad people with bad jokes.
Yeah, and then they're like, what? It's a disorder. But,
What? I can't help it.
But, yeah, these people just have to deal with it. That would be difficult. I wonder if it's like all the same characters all the time, you know?
Oh, good question. If you're like, oh, fucking that guy.
This guy.
This little guy.
Right.
And they don't even help. They're not even like the what is the cobbler? The one you go to sleep and they like make some fucking shoes. Who does that?
Yeah. The cobbler.
What? The shoemaker.
Cobbler.
Is there a name for that?
Cobbler.
No, but like there was a fairy tale or something where what is the name of that story I'm thinking of where they go to bed at night?
Is that the old man that lived in the shoe? No, that's a lady.
That's a lady with too many children. She didn't know what to do.
Yeah.
Yeah. I had a really cute little stuffed animal when I was a little stuffed toy that was a shoe, and it had all these little kids.
That's adorable.
It was the cutest fucking thing. It had a lady who was the mom, and then it was a stuffed shoe. I should somehow sew this and make it was so cute. And you could fit all the little kids in there, and they would just like pop out of it. It was so cute. It was like nursery rhyme. The little old lady lived in a shoe.
Yeah, we don't know about the cobbler. Who cares? We gotta wrap this up.
What is that called?
Don't make me say cobbler again.
I know. There was like a story, like a Christmas one. I want to say it's Christmas, but it's not. About like the cobbler fairy tale. What the hell is that called? The Elves and the Shoemaker.
Wow, I'm not familiar.
Yeah. What? You're not familiar about the Elves and the Shoemaker? It's also called the Cobbler and the Fairies to some.
Cobbler and the Fairies? What the hell did they do?
Okay, there's like a cobbler, and he has a whole bunch of shoes to finish, and he goes to bed at night, and he wakes up in the morning, and all the shoes are finished. And he's like, WTF, who did all this?
That rings a bell.
Turns out little elves and little, probably these little hallucinations did it.
Hey, we got to wrap it up because there's a bird that's hurt outside.
Oh, there's a bird that's hurt? We're way over. Don't bury bodies in your backyard, and don't drink too much alcohol or you see little people, and the end.
Okay, we gotta go. See you. Bye.